When you go to YouTube and you watch entrepreneur videos, or you even look at a blog about entrepreneurial lifestyles and starting an online business, you think it's gonna be one thing, but when you get into it, it's totally different. So here are 5 things that no one talks about when starting your own business, your own online business, and working for yourself. Hey, so one thing I haven't talked about on this channel yet is entrepreneurship. I own my own business. I have had it for, it's just over a year. So I think we're going on like 15 months. And it's insane. The first year is insane. It's gonna be insane. Your workload is gonna be crazy. If you don't have the capital to pay for an assistant, to pay for a social media manager, to pay for an accountant, to pay for ads and Facebook ads, and somebody who's amazing and a pro at that type of thing, guess who has to do it? You. You have to learn and be everything. There's no tech support to call when your computer crashes, or when you can't find something or figure out something, you missed a password, or when you start a website, like, so depending on if you do Shopify or any type of thing, they're just the host. So I used to work for GoDaddy, which is a hosting company, and I used to use their hosting, but I don't anymore. I use Shopify. But before, well, any hosting company, this is how it works, right? So when you purchase a hosting plan, it's a lot like purchasing an apartment, renting an apartment. You're renting this space. You can put whatever you want in this space. You can put, to an extent, but you can put whatever you want in this space. Have an adult website, sell t-shirts, write a blog. That's you. Just like an apartment, put whatever you want in your apartment. But when things go wrong with, like, when your table breaks, you don't call the apartment, you don't call the landlord or the management company. When your TV breaks, you don't call the management or the landlord about the TV. That's you, because you put it in there. They're only going to take care of the structure, the apartment. They're going to take care of the plumbing that was in it when you came. They'll take care of the refrigerator, if that refrigerator was there when you got there. Hosting is just like that. So you can call them and you can say, hey, my website isn't working. It won't come up. They'll say, oh, okay, let me figure out if it's something wrong with the hosting, because that's what they gave you. But if there's nothing wrong with the hosting, or they can't see anything wrong on their end, you're on your own. You have to figure out what was wrong with your code that you put in, what's wrong with your design that's making it not functional. So that's a big thing. Like I said, when you are trying to figure out how much to pay yourself, how much do you have for advertising, how much do you have to make something new, like how much is it going to cost to ship these things? You got to do that. That's all on you. There's no other department. You got to do it all. So that's the first thing. That's the hardest thing. The second thing, I wrote a little note, but the second thing that's really hard about being an entrepreneur that no one really talks about is that you're alone. Oh my gosh. It's kind of my fault because I moved to a new city. And then started my entrepreneurial journey. So I didn't have like a job where I could go and meet people. So it's really hard for me to meet people because I work in my house. And that's one thing. Like, you can't, I miss looking over my cubicle and talking to my buddy. You know what I mean? Or having a lunch buddy. Or talking to my work husband, because I used to always have a work husband. Things like that. There's no one. It's crickets. And I'm happy with myself. I call myself like a loner because I like to spend time alone in my home But sometimes it gets a little bit much and you just want somebody else to turn to and say, I used to work, so when I worked at GoDaddy, it was a big call center. Sometimes I would like mute people and say, oh my God, and they'd laugh. Or, you know, we talk about, like, it just, you miss that camaraderie. And so this is hard, and it's hard to, it's lonely and hard in another way that I'll have a stressful day, right? Because something went wrong and I had to figure it out and what's going on. I had to learn new skills, like I had to learn how to do Facebook ads correctly, how to target my ads to the right people, things like that. Because I don't really hang out with that many entrepreneurs, I don't hang out with a lot of people that have online businesses or businesses, period. There's no one to really talk to about these things. They don't understand everything that I'm saying. They're like, Facebook targeting, I don't know, oh, that sounds interesting, because they can't help you because they've never done it. So they'll, if there's somebody who, like your best friend, my mom is the one who I talk all these things through. I know she doesn't get it. I know it's not interesting to her. You know, it's a little boring. And so you kind of feel like, okay, well, I'll just figure it out. Thank you. Because what can you say? She's sweet and she loves me. And so I know that she listens just because she knows I need someone to speak to about it. But for the most part, it's boring. It's not something they're into. Another thing is pay. I done went all out of order of my little list. But whatever. We're just talking. Another thing is pay. So this is like multifold. When you work a 9 to 5, you know, as long as you go to work, you don't even have to be a rock star every day. You don't even have to work hard every day. You can go in on Monday, be a rock star, work and do amazing, and then by Thursday say, I'm tired. I'm just gonna half-ass this. Ooh. Excuse me, but you can say by Thursday, you can say, I'm tired today. I'm just gonna do the bare minimum. I'm gonna answer the phone. I'm just gonna because I'm not into it. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because that next Friday or whenever your pay schedule is, you know you're gonna get a check. You know that check is gonna be based on how many hours you were at work, right? You know, if you make $10 an hour and you work 40 hours a week, and you get paid every 2 weeks, that your check is going to be $800 before taxes. And taxes is another thing. So when you're an entrepreneur, you don't have that. You don't have that. You have to figure out how you can guess, you can project, you can use numbers from last month and last year and project about and estimate about how much you think is it gonna make, but you don't even really know, because that's not really in your control as much. It's not as consistent. One month you can do amazing and have so much money. The next month you can do not so much. You don't really know until you're in the thick of it. Another thing is taxes. So you can know my taxes are going to be this much money. My company is going to take out this much money for my taxes. And when tax time comes, I'm going to get a W-2. I'm going to be able to put all those numbers into my into the system, or to the tax man or whoever, and they're going to calculate how much taxes I owe, how much taxes I'm going to get back, all of that good stuff. Sounds good. I know it doesn't seem good when you get that paycheck back and they've taken $200, $300, however many dollars for your tax withholding, but it's consistent. You know how that's going to be broken down. When you work for yourself, that's all you. Yet again, unless you can pay an accountant, that's still all you. And even if you can pay an accountant, the accountant won't be able to tell you how much money exactly, like to the dollar, that you're going to have to put out of all your pay or out of your profits to pay taxes. Because that depends on how much you sell, right? In the 9 to 5, you don't have that worry. And so that's a hard thing. Another thing, as far as in the pay category, that's difficult that nobody really talks about, is the fact that you also have to pay for your own medical and dental and health. Well, that's health insurance, but your medical, dental, life insurance. You need an account for disability in case something happens to you. That's expensive. I remember when I worked for Coca-Cola. I complained. Even when I worked for the state of Arizona, I lived in Arizona for a long time. So even when I worked for the state of Arizona, I worked for the Attorney General's office. And I complained so much about how many of those deductions were coming out of my check, how expensive my healthcare plan was. Not really at the state of Arizona, but Coca-Cola. I remember how expensive my healthcare plan was. I remember thinking, oh my God, this is horrible. This is way too much money for me, and I had 2 kids at the time, and so it was a lot. And now I would kill for a business to pay half of my medical insurance. That would be amazing. The 4th thing that no one really talks about is your schedule. You have to be very organized and very consistent. When you watch YouTube videos and people talk about, or even just read blogs and stuff, people talk about when you own your own business, you can just wake up whenever you want to, stay in your pajamas, go on vacation because you have a computer. You can work anywhere you have a computer. But it's not like that. You go on vacation and you still have to work. Then how is that a vacation? It's not a vacation. You're in a nice place, but you can't enjoy it. There is some flexibility where, like, I might say, you know what, tomorrow I'm gonna work extra hard because the day after tomorrow my daughter's having this thing at her school and I'm gonna go to the thing at the school. So I'm gonna do all of these things tomorrow to make up for that, and then I'll just take that day off. So that's better than a 9 to 5 where you need to make sure you have somebody to cover you, you need to get your supervisor to sign off on your time off, and you're basically asking permission. So it's different, but you still have a lot of work to do. As a matter of fact, depending on if it's where you are in your business, if it's your first year or whatever, if you're just starting, or depending on how much money you have to pay people to do certain things, you're gonna work probably harder than you do at a 9 to 5 because you do more. You're a jack of all trades. So nobody really talks about that. They make it seem like it's just glamorous work when you want to work. Yeah, but then don't expect the same results. Don't expect to get paid that much to be able to take these vacations because you didn't put in the work. That stuff will come, but not when you're first starting. Unless, like I said, you have a ton of money and you can pay all these people to do all these things. But in your first year, don't expect to have a bunch of different vacations and to just lounge and work whenever you want to work. Especially if you're like me and you have children that you need to take care of. Another thing with the schedule is that other people don't respect your schedule. So sometimes I'll say, oh, I have to go home and work. People are like, oh, okay. But then because you're at home, because you're at home, they don't really respect your schedule or your time. They think, why can't you come out to lunch with me? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Why can't you watch my kids? You know, why can't you take care of your laundry and cook dinner and do all these things? You're at home anyway. Right, I'm at home, but I still have stuff to do. I still have to get all these things out the park or else they won't get done. There's no backup here. There's no plan. So that's one thing. It's managing your own time and then not letting other people come and invade in that time. So that's a big thing that I had to really learn. I'm still kind of learning how to juggle everything with the toddler. And then my very last thing, which is gonna sound a little redundant considering this whole list, but the 5th thing that nobody really talks about is the fact that no one can tell you what to expect. They can't. I can say, oh, your first year is going to be horrible. It's going to be a roller coaster. I don't really know that because I don't know you. I don't know what kind of business you're going into. I don't know, like, the products or if it's a blog. I don't know what kind of following you have on social media. I don't know what kind of finances you have to put towards this. So I can't tell you what it is. I'm in a bunch of different Facebook groups for people who work at home or work online and e-com and different things. And everybody, they'll ask questions like, oh, do you think... how did you launch? What did you do before you launched? How many people did you have on your email list before you launched? But that's kind of irrelevant to you because my email list It's me. That doesn't mean that you're gonna have this. If we both get 100 people to sign up for our email list, it doesn't mean we're both gonna get this many sales from that 100 people. There's an average that I can tell you, but I can't tell you what to expect. So it really bothers me when people ask those questions, because I'm sitting and I'm thinking like, that's my thing. Like, don't ask me what's the best way to market my business if you don't know what my business is, because me and you, we probably have very different businesses. So Instagram may work for my business because that's where my customer hangs out, but your customer may be totally different and prefer Facebook. So it would be better for you to spend your time focusing on Facebook and growing your Facebook audience, where it's be better for me to grow my Instagram audience. So I can't tell you what to expect. Nobody can. And that's a big thing that people don't really get. Like, you can ask questions, try to figure out like what it might be a good thing. If I do this, this will be good. If I do that, that'll be good. But nobody can honestly tell you what it's gonna be like. That's it. That's my 5 things, and I hope you got a little better of an insight. I kind of wish I had watched a video like this before I started, because I had all these ideas of what it was going to be like. I thought, I'm going to start my own business, and I'm going to work like 2 hours every day. I'm going to take all these vacations, and I'm going to make all this money, and it's going to be easy, and it's going to be fabulous. I'm going to be like all these people online, and I'm just gonna do whatever. I'm gonna buy all these great things, and it's just gonna be awesome. And though it is awesome, there are so many pros to it. It's so much better. I would never go back to working a 9 to 5 if I don't have to. I prefer to work for myself. There are things that people kind of glance over, they don't talk about, so you don't expect it. So it's really hard when you're in the thick of it. Thanks. So here, I hope I have no makeup on my hands. Hold on. Especially if you're like me and you haven't like this video. I always forget to tell you to like and comment on this video, so do that now. Oh, disclaimer, I am not a business guru. I am just telling you guys what I have learned from my experience